That it's all great and wonderful being spiritual on your own in a very kind of insulated, separate space, but when you're thrust into the human world and you have to interact with other human beings who perhaps aren't on the same journey as you, that's when it's a challenge. Hey everyone! So today I just wanted to talk to you about something that had happened in my life recently, which was a challenge that came up for me. It was a relatively confrontational setting, which I don't often come across actually. I don't normally interact with things like that. And so I just wanted to share this with you because it really made me sit back and think, how would a spiritual person deal with this? And I think the reason why this is so important is because as spiritual people, inverted commas, people who, like me, are perhaps sensitive individuals, people who are trying to understand their place in the world as a soul, first and foremost, who just happens to be in this human package, and how to deal with that spiritual, that fundamental spiritual essence of who you are, but also being thrust into the human world. I think this is something that we all perhaps struggle to cope with it at different times. I certainly do. And so when these life challenges come up, which they will, because that's what we're here for, this is life school. So just remembering that these things are invitations, that we are ready for more, that we can do this. You know, there is no challenge given to us that we cannot cope with. This is just one example of these kind of challenges that come up. And so regardless of what that situation is to you, I'm hoping that what I'm going to say in this video is useful and applicable to whatever challenge that you are going through right now. And before we get started, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could like this video and also subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. I would really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And I should say as well that I am recording this particular section of the video at a different point in time because I realised that I never really introduced what I was talking about. I just kind of dived in, and then when I was editing I thought, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. So that's why I'm not wearing exactly the same shirt, although I'm still wearing white in the video. So yeah, just wanted to explain that. So I will now hand over to me in the past. And I think with these things, what these things are, any kind of challenge, any kind of confrontation, any human interaction that is awkward or difficult, you know, or if someone's being nasty to you, or if someone's saying things that aren't true, or all of these things, these are all human drama challenges. These are the pebbles of life, and these are the things that really trip us up and take us from our center. And these small dramas will actually become the big problem boulders of life, and they'll just escalate into these big things that you'll carry around with you. The thing with these challenges is that often we drink the poison and expect the other person to die. You know, we kind of carry around the grudges, and we carry around the anger and the resentment of the things we should have said, or the things we should have did, or that person shouldn't have done this, blah, blah, blah. You know, and that's completely normal. That's certainly how I reacted. But we can't expect to carry that resentment around and expect that other person to feel it, or to expect the situation to heal, because that just isn't the way it works. I think things like this are salient reminders that we're being invited to go up a level, and it's really not easy to see that at the time. Like, it wasn't something that was feeling that way as it was being done, but now I can reflect back on it already and just kind of think, right, what would A Course in Miracles say about this? And there's this amazing book that I invite everyone to read. I treat this like my Bible, basically, so I, you know, dive into it when something like this happens to me and I just really struggle to get out of it. And, you know, one of the great things about that particular book, the Course in Miracles Made Easy, is that it's really digestible and it goes through these real life situations, because I find that it's all great and wonderful being spiritual on your own in a very kind of insulated, separate space, but when you're thrust into the human world and you have to interact with other human beings who perhaps aren't on the same journey as you, that's when it's a challenge, and that's when these things really come into play, and you have to remember your teaching. You know, it's like, that's how I see it anyway. I kind of think, right, okay, I have a choice here Do I want to react with my human self, with my ego? Do I want to lash out at this person? Do I want to attack this person back because I'm feeling like I'm being attacked? Or do I want to hit them back, you know? And they're completely normal reactions because we are human. We are inhabiting the human space, so that's a completely normal reaction to have. So I try not to judge myself to have that reaction. I also think it's a perfectly normal reaction to feel hurt as well when something like that is happening, or if you're in a challenging situation or someone's being confrontational. It's perfectly normal to be a bit like, ow, you know, it kind of like, it hurts. But even that, you have to remember that's ego stuff. You as a concept are a soul being who's just constant flowing. I like to think of it as almost like a river within me that just flows beautifully, and it doesn't matter if people effectively throw things at it, which is how I see these human interactions, because it's almost like it hits the screen, it doesn't hit the river behind it, you know. And that's how I like to imagine my soul self, my true self, that essence of me which is divine and unending and untouchable. And recognizing that and just stepping back from it makes you think that really this is just like surface stuff, this is just surface nonsense, but underneath that true essence, it cannot be touched. And so you take your power back in that situation. Sadhguru does an amazing talk on this as well, which is how does he explain this? He explains this so well. He kind of says that true slavery is when we give power over someone else to decide how we feel internally. And that is just such a powerful explanation for that. So in that situation, I was giving power to that person or people, and actually I didn't need to do that. I'm actually in control there. I can stay in my steady presence. I can stay in my true soul self. Not easy at the time, but even just kind of trying to recognize this in my head, just to stay in that center and think, this is all just kind of noise, it's just outside noise, and it doesn't actually affect me. Really, truly, it doesn't affect me at the core being of who I am. Yes, it affects my human interactions, it hurts my feelings, it makes me feel attacked, you know, all these things, but really the true essence of me is untouched. No one has power over that. I have power over that. We ultimately as well can't control how other people act in these situations, and also recognizing that and letting go of that is also really freeing. So for me, just kind of recognizing I wouldn't have handled it in that way, but I don't have power over you. I can't decide how you act. That's your choice. And that's okay. It's nothing to do with me. The minute that you start thinking that you have power over the way someone should behave or the things they should have said, that should is a very sticky emotional place to be in, and it's a very easy place to fall into. It's something that we do often, daily, if we're honest with ourselves. But just actually realizing, hang on a minute, I can only control how I feel. I can only control my behaviors. I can't control other people. You decide how you want to feel, you decide how you want to act, and you decide how you want to treat the situation. The other thing that really helped me with this as well is also meditating. So when I say meditating, what that means is getting into a space where I can connect with the true essence of myself, which is that peace, that untouchable presence. So really that's just a tool to disconnect from this kind of human drama, which really is neither here nor there. You know, of course it doesn't feel that way, and that's the human part of me that feels my ego getting attacked and stuff. But meditation is a really helpful tool to just remember that it's not that big of a deal. It is just something that will pass, and it doesn't have as much power over you as you think it does. So don't give it that power, and meditate to help restore that central space. The other thing which is really helpful, and this is really, really hard to do depending on how someone challenges you and what that challenge looks like, but actually praying for that person can be really humbling and can be really healing for that relationship, because you can't stay mad at someone when you know that you've prayed for them. If you pray, like I pray that you find your life's purpose, that you're happy, that you can resolve this, whatever's going on in your life that's making you so mad at me, like I pray that you can help that and heal that and get better, you know? So praying for someone is actually a really powerful tool to help if you're in a challenging situation. Who who says this? Someone said this. Michael Singer, I think, the person who wrote The Untethered Soul, the famous book, which I've never actually read cover to cover, but anyway, so he says, if you're having problems, that's good news. That means that you're alive. That means that you've got something to live for. That's what you're here for as a human. I think it's him or Tony Robbins, I don't know, but one of them says, if you don't have problems, you're in a graveyard, because they're the only people that don't have problems. You know, when we interact with other human beings, imperfect, messy human beings who are on different levels of awareness of things with different stuff going on, it's complex. We're going to come across challenges, whether they're small things, big things, confrontations, whatever. There's going to be challenges. Learning to ride that wave and really see it for what it is, which is temporary drama, is really, really helpful. And also, if you can, even better, see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. So for me, this particular challenge, it could have been a way for me to just fold in on myself and be really angry and be really hurt and not be very productive. And that would have been fine, because sometimes that is just the way that you need to react. But I desperately tried, and it's effort and it's work to actually say, what can I learn from this? It's not always easy, but we're here to do this work, and it's gonna be hard work because we're not conditioned to be that way. Everyone around us, everything around us, every moment building up to these points in our lives is teaching us to be hurt, to react, to fight back. If not, you're weak. If not, you're this, like blah, blah, blah. Step out of all of that. These challenges are a hand from God extending down to us, being like, come on, come up to the next level. So whenever something like this happens, I try to say like, thank you for this challenge, as much as it is painful right now. Thank you for this challenge. And I want to take your hand and come up to that next level. You know, I want to learn from this. I want to grow from this. And again, when you think of it that way, it really can't hurt you, because if you're filled with gratitude for this challenging situation, you can really grow from that and find beauty in that. And I mean, wow, like that is living. Completely strips the power away from external people, from external factors. If you're filled with gratitude and you're grateful for the situation as an opportunity to learn and grow, that's what you'll get from it. So I hope that was helpful, and I would love to see you again next time. As always, if you have any questions or comments, pop them below, and I'll also link to the books that I've mentioned below, which certainly have helped me. I'll hopefully see you next time.